Gold stocks are finally moving, and this is one that I believe has so much more to go that I am betting my chips on it right now. Come check it out. Hi, my name is Fabi, and maybe 9 months ago or so, I brought to you an idea here of a stock I was starting to buy called Norseman Mining. It just so happens that this stock went from, I don't know what it was, maybe 30 cents at the time to now 90 cents. So a nice little triple in that time. Not bad at all. And it's not because I'm a genius or anything like that. We see now that I believe Crescott is in on it. Dr. Quentin Hennig, Rob McEwen most recently, and also the latest is Poma Rosa, all really big names in this industry. I was able to front run a bunch of them because of the people I know in the industry that tipped me off and said, hey, take a look at this one. They're doing a financing. I think you should get in on it. And I did. But the reason why I did, and it was such an obvious value play for me, is the same reason as to why I think this other secret stock is going to probably go up in value quite a bit in the coming next 9 months or so. Don't take my word for it. I was lucky enough to be able to get a sponsorship deal with this company. Before I did so, I went out and bought stock anyway, because this is worth a lot more money than what the market is giving it credit for. And I believe that this is actually what the next leg of the gold bull market is going to move towards. This type of company, the type of company that has positioned themselves in a way where they have a resource, whether it's historic or, compliant and modern, but they have a resource. And because of the recent gold move, they're going to update their numbers. They're going to come to the market and say, look, what we have is worth 10 times more, is worth 5 times more, is worth 8 times more than what the market is giving us credit for. In this particular situation, they have not one, but 2 projects with gold in the ground. And I think that when the PEAs come out and the market realizes how much they should really be worth, it's going to be absolutely bonkers. So let's go back to how this bull market happens. Any gold bull market that actually lasts more than the 6 months than we went through in 2015 to 2016. If you were there, type down below here. It was wild, but it only lasted 6 months, unfortunately. This is what happens. First, gold moves, and you've seen it. I mean, we're looking at all-time highs, $3,600. And it's crazy because when I say it, it's like, wow, like not too long ago, it was $2,000 and it was $2,400. And now it's 3.5 and up. And it doesn't really feel like people are overly bullish on gold. I think they're bullish enough, especially within this industry, but I don't see the generalists, flocking to gold and acting wild like they did in 2011. But that's, another conversation for another day. We have bullion moving. So gold has moved already. Great. Then the next step is for the best producers to move. I mean, if you haven't noticed that the best producers have moved, take a look at Newmont and what it's doing, or any other massive producer. The top producers are neck and neck with, tech companies right now when it comes to market cap and how much they've gained in the last year. So something that should raise a flag of sorts. Not that the whole bull market is over, but that sector in particular, the largest and best, cheapest producers have actually had their day in the sun. But what's next? Okay, what's next is producers that are smaller and not that cheap. They're levered to the price of gold. Therefore, the higher the price of gold goes, the more torque they get from making very little money or no money at all to making some money. 0 to nothing is, a bigger move than a law to a lot more. So you're going to start seeing more and more of these companies flying, the smaller producers. And the last part of the bull market happens kind of quickly. And it's usually focused on the explorers. But before we get to the explorers, we're looking at ounces in the ground. And this is my personal sweet spot. I think if I went back and looked at all of my gains within the whole mining industry, if I looked at gold, copper, silver, uranium especially, and I looked at, okay, what actually makes my portfolio tick, it is this one concept. Taking a bet on companies that have resources in the ground, proven up, and they are just advancing that little bit more so that somebody else takes them over and buys the project for an absolutely eye-watering price. This is what Great Bear did. They made the discovery, they went through the exploration phase, but they also didn't promise to build a mine, and they didn't even come out with a proper resource, which is wild, and also another conversation for another day. But this end bit of the gold bull market is so sweet because it's when you first see developers run and then you see explorers run. And so we're just starting to see that right now. We're starting to see that ounces in the ground are starting to catch a bid, but they have been so forgotten for so long that when you take a look at what their projects should be worth, not even at today's gold price, forget $3,600 per ounce. Take a look at like $2,400. Okay, take that level and let's just pretend that that's going to be the spot price of gold moving forward. You take that level and you apply it to their projects. These companies aren't trading for 1/10 of what they should be right now of their actual net asset value of the NPVs of their projects. Long story short, this is what I'm putting my money into: companies with ounces in the ground, proven up. So let's take a look at this one. I have been waiting for this for a long time to be able to publicly talk about this company. I found it a while ago, and some stuff recently just confirmed to me that it is go time for this company right now. So here we are. Fortune Bay Corp is the company that I'm putting my money towards right now. And I'm going to make a very, very, very simple case for this company to be one of the companies that gains the most in the next 9 to 12 months. Reason being, they have projects here that are uranium projects in the Athabasca Basin, because you're going to see that the team is very, very experienced in the Athabasca Basin and in uranium. But this allows them to have some cash coming in and to not have to spend money on these projects to move them forward, get some of the upside, but also to make sure that while there was a bear market, they hunkered down and didn't need to spend money in order to make major advances to these other two projects, which are really the crown jewels, and you're going to see why very soon. So why now? Because this company is right here. During the exploration phase, you're trying to answer a very difficult question. The question you're trying to answer is, does the company have ounces in the ground? That's a yes or no question. Because when they do find something, it has to be enough to excite the market for them to be able to get a great price, raise more money, and go and figure out if this is truly a deposit that is economically worth anything, or if the grade is too low, or maybe the project is too remote for the grade that they're getting, or maybe it's too deep, or the metallurgy just isn't there, et cetera, et cetera. There are too many unknowns when you're talking about exploration. When you're talking about a resource that has already been delineated, then you're skipping the big question of yes or no. The answer is yes. The next set of questions is regard how much And how much is a much better answer, a much better question to answer when everybody's already excited about gold, because you don't just have gold in the name, you actually have gold in your resource, in the land that you hold. So let's go back here to Fortune Bay Corp's presentation, where we all know what this Lassonde curve means. It shows the gain, the possible gains, and what you can expect to happen during each stage of the company development. Now, they are planning on advancing here through the discovery phase into the feasibility and then exiting it, and not playing pretend and saying that they're going to build these mines when it actually makes no sense for them to be the ones building it. Sell it to the highest bidder and then have that accretive value distributed to shareholders. This is the sweet spot. You know, there is the opportunity to discover more in what they currently hold, but it doesn't make sense for them to, you know, hold it for so long that they are trying to develop the mine themselves. That usually is very difficult for junior miners to do. So during the lull here, which we have lived through, the battlefield, I like to call it here, this is a time when the company did nothing. And I am proud to say it. I'm happy to say it, because this is what you need. You need a company that doesn't spend too much money when the market isn't giving it credit. I can't stress this enough. If the market isn't giving you credit for what you hold and for what you're discovering, don't give the market something it doesn't value. So they have plenty of insider ownership, and this is, you know, quite up to date. August 1st, just over $1 million cash. This share price is a little bit out of date. It has ran up quite a bit. Do take a look in your own time to the team here. You have people that are associated with some of the best development stories and mining stories of our time. Denison Mines is one that comes to mind. Voisey's Bay, Diamond Fields, all these different companies. I like to take a look at Robert Shaw's CV here. Instrumental in discovery of Gramalote, La Colosa, and La Quebradona. More than 40 million ounces of gold. I mean, there's nothing to say about that. Like, that's just, there is no comment that you can attach to this. Absolute powerhouses in each of their particular endeavors and specialties. So let's take a look at the two main projects. We're not going to take a look at the uranium projects right now, but we're going to take a look at Goldfields and also Poma Rosa down in Mexico. So Goldfields is up in Saskatchewan. They did a PEA in 2022. And what you should focus on is two things. One is that they got a real company to do the PEA, and not just one that was going to give them the numbers that they wanted in order to sell a story to investors. This is very important. Alsenco is one of the most respected engineering firms out there that did the job, but also they are going to do the updated PEA. And that is the biggest thing you should look forward to. The lowercase PEA at the time, 3 years ago, was at $14.50 an ounce. You were looking at an NPV of 168 million of after tax. Very important. But when you take a look at the higher case numbers, you're talking about still below $2,000 per ounces at, you know, 452 million after tax NPV, an eye-watering 50% IRR, and very quick, just over a year after tax payback. This is all after tax. So 8.3 year mine life, you know, just over 100,000 ounces of gold of annual production, and a very, very low, you know, life of mine, all-in sustaining cost. I do expect this to go up because the price of everything has gone up. Initial capex is very, very low at 234, and anything from this level of gold prices and onwards, you're looking at a capex to NPV ratio that's very, very fitting to most investors, you know, rules of thumb and minimum investment thesis. So here is the beautiful thing. This is about 1 million point something ounces, right? 1,000,001, almost 1,000,002 ounces. Just by updating this, you're going to get over $500 million worth of NPV right off the bat. I can't guarantee you this, But I can almost guarantee you this, because the current price of gold is a lot higher than even their best upside case for that PEA. And that's being redone right now. I am really looking forward to seeing how this comes out. Okay, now I don't know what they're going to do with Goldfields, if they're going to sell it in order to get a bunch of cash in the door, or if they're going to hold it a little bit more. We'll see. We'll see what comes up here. This is a really, really great asset that anybody would want to purchase. But if they want to work more on it, that's fine. I respect that. The real crown jewel, in my opinion, is actually the Poma Rosa project. Why? Okay. So bear with me just a little bit here. You have this geological trend with fractured ridges that have created Bingham Canyon, Poma Rosa, Cobra Panama, and Cascabel. Now, obviously, we're looking at absolutely massive copper mines and deposits here along this line. But the potential here is that everything that has been found historically with our Poma Rosa project in Mexico is pointing towards this right here. I mean, out of everything that you can, dig through here, this is to me the most important bit. It is this sentence here. The mineralization encountered to date is characteristic of the upper portion, very importantly, upper portion of a district scale copper, gold, silver, moly mineralization system. So basically what they're saying is like, look, okay, we know that we have a 1.7 million ounces of gold here at a very decent grade. Updating these numbers is also going to give you a very, very sweet return once they come out with PA, further down the line. But the fact that they are looking at what could be the top of a porphyry is absolutely game-changing here. You have these intrusive hosted quartz stockworks, you have all the different geological markers. I mean, let me just show you something here that you might have missed. At the different areas that they have here, when you look at the historical drill core intercepts, you know for a fact that if you saw these released nowadays, there is no telling to what it would do to the share price. So take a look at some of these findings. Cerro Lamina, 600 meters of 0.28% copper and 0.68 grams per ton gold, and a little bit of silver here. I mean, 600 meters of 0.8% copper is a solid hit. But even wilder than that is 100 meters of 12 grams per ton gold. This hole in this market would be absolutely bonkers. And this gets me really excited because we are looking at a resource that is not just about the gold, but also about having so much copper that becomes a gold and copper story. So dig through all the information that they have, all the NI 43-101 documents that they have on the website. It's quite self-explanatory. And do remember this, the best way to play this market is to respect the timing of the market. And this is what this company has done perfectly to a T. And now they're coming out to the market and saying, hello, we are here. And by the way, this is what we've got. And what we've got is a team that has the technical ability to pick the best projects that they can hold during the bear market, not dilute to high heavens, bring it up to what we now know to be a bull market, and then be able to go back to these projects, advance them, do the social work that needs to be done in order, to get the approval of the locals, and then do the environmental studies, do the PEAs, rerun the numbers, do the updated resources, and say, we think we could be on the cusp of a major, not just a porphyry discovery, but a major copper porphyry discovery here. And not every team can claim that. I can only think of two that did that very well. One I've already spoken about in length as I've started this video. And the second one is this one, Fortune Bay Corp. So do with this information what you will. Take a good look at it, do your due diligence, sniff around, and ask all the questions. If you want to speak to the CEO, he's quite approachable, and you can book that on the website as well. Like I said, I am very biased and I am a partner of this company. But even if I weren't, I'll be completely honest with you. This one ticks all the boxes for me. And it is one that I made sure to buy before I got, this partnership with them. So at the very least, if you follow my thinking and the way that I like to do money in this industry with the most amount of certainty possible, with the least amount of risk, just by getting some of your timing right with the right people and making the bet on the people and that they know the assets better than you do, then at the very least, add this to your watch list. That is my advice. Thank you very much. And if you'd like to know about, other picks that I have for this coming bull market, then click on this next video. Take care, and I'll see you very, very soon.